Always we tell the people, be non-violent, be ahimsa, be in ahimsa. You always give the reason, you always give the moral code, but you never know why. Here Upanishad says, he who sees the entire world of animate and inanimate objects in himself, and also sees himself in all animate and inanimate objects, because of this does not hate anyone. In the NSP, I have said one thing. In NSP, I do namaskar for everyone. The whole group receives namaskar from me. After some, actually, let me explain an incident, then you will understand. In healers initiation also, after the healers meet, there is a healers puja, which I myself do. How many of you attended the healers puja still now? Oh. I myself do the puja. Metal. How did you attend? Where did you attend the healers puja? Initiation. That is different. I do the puja to healers. I give garland to healers and do puja to the healers. And then I do the namaskar to the healers. After becoming healer, after some time, one healer who was in that group who received the namaskar, ego never dies so easily. Some moment, he is not, what to say, that he started having his own ego, and it seems he commented, he can fall at my feet, what is there? After all, I am elder than him. I am elder than him. He can fall at my feet. What is the wrong? It seems he commented, just I laughed, fool, misunderstood the whole thing. The very thing is done not to bring me to your level, to bring you to my level. I am telling you to come up to my level. See, when such a simple man like me can be a divine means, you are also divine. Come up. That is what I am telling him. But that guy has totally misunderstood. One lady devotee, she just totally misunderstood. What she finally understood? She brought me to her level. Instead of she coming to my level, she brought me down to her level. Understand? Of course, why the namaskar is done, the sutra says very clearly. He who sees the entire world of animate and inanimate objects in himself. In the NSP I tell very clearly, every one of you are Buddhas. The Buddha in me is awakened, the Buddha in you is sleeping, that's all, no other difference. Just call him, he will wake up. Nothing else. That is why in the end I tell you, let me respect the Buddhas in you. I give you my respect. Somebody said, no, Swamiji, you should not fall. I said, fool, I am not falling at your feet. I am falling at the feet of the Buddha which is inside you. In every one of you the Buddha is there. Only thing, little drowsy. That's all, nothing else. If he awakens, there is no difference between you and me. Whether you believe or not, whether you accept or not, whether you want it or not, you are Buddha. Even if you say, no, I am not, I am no way qualified, I am nothing, you are Buddha. Even if the fish goes above the current, it is floating in the water only. See, fish can either flow with the current or it can go against the current. Whether it goes with the current or goes against the current, it is in the water. Whether you realize you are Buddha or you have not realized you are Buddha, you are Buddha. You are in Buddhahood, that's all. If you realize it, you flow with the current. If you have not realized it, you go against the current. But your Buddhahood is there, that you cannot do anything about it. You cannot do anything about your Buddhahood. Siddharth, you understand what I mean? Whether you accept or not, whether you understand or not, whether you realize or not, you are God and you are energy. When a master does namaskar, he shows you in body language How much I tell by mouth, people will think, oh, one more pravachana, one more discourse. But only when I show in the body language, something shakes in you. But if you are really sensitive, something will shake in you. Oh, whom I worship as God is touching my feet. Something will shake in you. And that shaking will awaken the sleeping Buddha in you. The whole thing is just technique. Here the same technique is described. He who sees the entire world of animate and inanimate objects in himself and also sees himself in all animate and inanimate objects, because of this does not hate anyone. When you start seeing, you will never see anything against anybody comes inside your being. You just feel the boundary, that where your boundary starts and where its boundary ends. You don't feel the boundary at all. You feel the boundarylessness. I said you feel the boundary. In a way, you feel the boundarylessness. You don't feel the boundary, you feel the boundarylessness. When you see, I am also Buddha, he is also Buddha, everyone is Buddha, everyone is in the state of Nityananda. Only the people who are not awakened to their Nityananda state, they harm others. Understand? If you understand this one thing, it's a subtle thing. Even if somebody harms you, you will feel only sympathy towards them. Oh, he has not understood his Nityananda state. That is why he is harming me. That is why he is harming me. So, once you understand the Nityananda state, every one of you are in Nityananda. You will never harm others. If somebody harms you, you will feel only sympathy or compassionate towards them. What grief or attachment can there be for a realized soul, a man of wisdom, when all animate and inanimate objects of this world have become his self, when he sees oneness everywhere? What grief or attachment can there be for a realized soul, a man of wisdom, when all animate and inanimate objects of this world have become his self, when he sees oneness everywhere? The same thing is told in other way beautifully.
Read out the sloka answers one thing.
Yes, I thought I will read out the whole thing because these slokas are continuous. Let me finish this and read out the sloka. Till the 11th sloka, they are actually single sloka. You can see even the meaning, a single meaning, same meaning repeated in this way and that way. Not only I will read out the Ganapata. Ganapata means the mantra is pushed inside your subconscious through the Ganapata. I will read out the Ganapata also. What grief or attachment can there be for a realized soul, a man of wisdom, when all the animate and inanimate objects of this world have become his self, when he sees oneness everywhere? When you see the boundarylessness, you will neither have grief nor have attachment. Attachment is the product, grief is the byproduct. Attachment is the path to the grief. So when you see everything is yourself, you don't have something called separate attachment. You don't possess things. It is all pervading. It is the purest. It is bodilessness. It is indestructible. It is without sinews. It is spotless. It is sinless. It is all seeing. It is all knowing. It is the best among the best. It is self-created. The glory of the Atman is described so beautifully. तदे जदि तन्नै जदि तद्दूरे तद्वन्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तद् सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतान्यात्मन्येवानुपश्यति सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतान्यात्मैवाभूद्विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कस्य गयेगत्वमनुपश्यतः. All the other slokas, they come in the next series. Here Atman is described. The spiritual being of your Atman, which I say is in every one of you, the Buddha state, it is described. It is all pervading. It is the purest. It is bodiless. It is indestructible because it is all pervading only. Wherever people try to meditate on me, they are able to get the darshan. It is without sinews. It is spotless. It is sinless. It is all seeing. It is all knowing. There is a beautiful word. It is sinless. That's a word to be understood. Vyas, he was staying here. At that time, they were supposed to cross the river Ganga. Too much of flood. All his disciples are standing with him. Just then they finished their vrata and ate fully. All delicious food. They are standing in the bank of Ganga. The disciples are asking, Master, what is this? How to cross the Ganga? Vyasa says, if it is truth that I am fasting for last 10 days, if it is truth, I have not eaten anything, I am doing my vrata, let Ganga open and give way. Immediately Ganga opened and gave way. All these disciples know just now he finished eating and full, not even it has been digested. But Ganga broke and gave way. Vyasa crossed. The disciples were all walking behind him. Suddenly one disciple questioned, what is this, Master? Just now you ate and you are telling that we have not eaten and Ganga is also giving way. The moment he asked the question, flood came and the disciple went away. The disciple was taken away. Anyhow, Vyasa brought him back somehow and answered, fool, understand, when I say I have not eaten, actually I never eat. Eating is done only by the body. I am continuously in the state of Atman. I am continuously in the mood of Atmajnana, the state of self-realization. So I don't feel I have eaten. That is the reason Ganga listens to me. If I would have said, if I am eaten, please give me way, Ganga would have never given way. Because I know I am in the body conscious. If Ganga knows I am in the body conscious, how can Ganga will give way? Why should she give way at all for ordinary human being? When I said that if I have eaten at all, if I have not eaten, Ganga understood I am in the state of Atman. That is why even after eating I am telling I have not eaten. Ganga knows what I mean. You all understand only what I say. Ganga understands what I mean. That is what Vyasa's word. One more small Zen story. One master and the disciple, both were going towards their ashram. Between there was a big river. One young, beautiful girl was standing. She is not able to cross. She begged the help of the master. Master said, "What is there?" He just lifted her, crossed the river, and left her, and said her bye, and went away to the ashram. The disciple was also following. He was not able to control his question. Somehow he managed till the ashram, till the moment of ashram. The moment they entered the ashram, he asked, "You are a sannyasi, how can you touch a woman? You are a sannyasi, how can you touch a woman? And especially young women and beautiful women. How can you lift her? How can you touch her?" The master turned and laughed. "Fool, I have left her there itself. Why are you bringing her still here? I have left her on the bank of river itself. Why are you still carrying her to the ashram? Why are you still bringing her here?" Yesterday somebody asked me in the bus number 2. They asked me a question. "You are hugging anyone and everyone. Is it not against our culture?" Yesterday somebody asked me, "You are hugging anyone and everyone. Is it not against our culture? How can you justify it?" I want to tell the same thing. Fool, long before I left them, why are you still hugging them? Long before I took out my hand, why are you still hugging them? Same thing I want to tell. Of course, I gave the answer that is different. If you understand this one thing, it is sinless, it is all seeing, it is all knowing. One thing I tell you, to be among everyone, you need courage. To escape to Himalayas and sit silently, you don't need courage. But to be among everyone and so happy, so joyful, so relaxed, you need courage. One more thing, if someday, if I get attached, you don't need to tell, I myself will be suffering. The very non-suffering shows I am nowhere attached. The very joy shows I have nowhere attachment. Sutra says, the early sutra, attachment is the path for grief. If I have attachment, naturally I will be having the grief. The no grief shows no attachment. So very my being is the answer for his question. My very being is the answer for his question. Of course, I gave him whatever replies has to be given. But here, I am telling you this story. The master says, I left her long before in the river bank itself. Why are you carrying still? Actually, the disciple is jealous that he has not got the chance. That is the truth. Disciple is jealous. One more thing. Master never gets attached. Nothing affects the master. One more small story. The same Shankara happened in Kedar area. He was walking in the Kedar area. Suddenly he felt thirst. He saw nothing was there. Only one arak shop was there, where they do the drinks. He just entered the shop and drank enough. When the disciples saw that Shankara himself drank, they also drank. But after drinking, Shankara was cool and he is walking. But the disciples were doing all gymnastics. Anyhow, they are slowly crossing. After 1 mile, again Shankara felt thirsty. Blacksmith was melting the iron to pour into the mold. Shankara directly went and drank that. And to quench the thirst, he directly went and drank that. Now turn towards the disciples. All right, drink. All right, drink. Now the disciples know we cannot imitate Master. Understand, never try to imitate me. One side, there are few who question me, is it not against our culture? The other side, there are few who try to imitate me. Please understand, don't try to imitate. When you try to imitate, then come and drink that molten iron. You can drink the molten iron also. Then you can imitate. Understand, there are few who try to imitate me. At least let this be your lesson for you.